Who's been after the artichokes? Huh? Oh, I still haven't put bombs on the end of this. I still haven't put it. Good morning. Apologies if you can hear massive amounts of kids screaming. I've timed this beautifully to be just at their lunch break. So they're all out and about and shouting blue murder. I've got the microphone on, just speech, but whether or not it can actually pick out me from the screaming, who knows? We'll find out when I'm editing. First job that we've got this morning, in fact, only real job that we've got this morning, is to plant out some cavolo nero. So let me just grab what we've got. So Johanna, when she was over last week, very kindly dropped us off 11 really quite good looking cavolo nero plants. I mean, look at these, they look fantastic. I've got space for 5 of them in the first bed here, which is luckily already covered. It's got one of the semi-finished hoop beds attached. No, I still haven't worked out how I can attach the bottoms of that. I'm struggling with that still, but that is a topic for another day. But it does mean that we've actually got space for 5 in there, which leaves us 6, which I'm going to put in a bed up there. But I don't want to put them out until we've actually got something solid to cover with them. So these do vary in size quite a lot. Like I say, we've got ones this size and we've also got ones sort of more this size. So I'm going to put the big ones into this bed because they're the first to get going. And then I might pot the others up and just keep them going until we've got more space. But that is my main job for this morning. Hopefully the rain is going to hold off because it was magnificently sunny this morning, but obviously by the time I've got up here, the sun has gone. This is the bed that they're going in. Unfortunately, this is also the bed where all of the clips have been crushed. So that is annoying, which means that we've had to also peg things down and they won't come up. So infuriating, because once they get crushed, they then won't pull up. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, it really kind of defeats the object of the whole bloody game. There we go. Oh, and now we've got that in the way. Bang. So this is where they're going to go, in here. We've got this one Kailan that we had this whole end of the bed was Kailan. I don't remember, we had 9 of them planted in here. They got dug out 3 times and then didn't really ever go anywhere. And then we've suddenly realized that actually this one is one, but we've missed it. Like, look, it's gone completely to flower and it's over. So that was a complete fail. So that is coming out, I'm afraid. It's also got terrible club root. Do you see how instead of having all these really nice feathery roots that it's supposed to have, it's just got like one big fat lump of a root right in the middle there. It's not good. But I mean, it survived slightly. I think it's worth a go again with this. We just basically failed. We hadn't realised, we thought they'd all gone, and then it turns out there was just this one in there. I wonder what it tastes like though. Let's have a go. Oh, super sweet. Take a bit more of that stem off. Yeah, I definitely think we'll have another go at them. It's supposed to be like a Chinese broccoli, really fat stems, like a halfway sort of between a tender stem and a pak choi type thing, like really fat stems but quite loose leaf and a big flower on top. Anyway, we messed that up, but going by the flavour of that, which was delicious, I think we will have another go. Anyway, that is now where my cavolos are going. What did I do with them? Over here. We've got space. So these were the chicories that we put in. We've got the Rose of Venice, which is going to be pink eventually. We've got this really lovely dark one, which will be like the tall, like the skinny, narrow one. That will be an open, flowery one. This will be a tall, narrow one. And this is a leaf one. So 3 totally different types of chicory. This is also a leaf chicory just here. We're going to keep that going. But this spot here, another terrible club root, that must have been another Kailan. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 spaces. So let's get the big boys in. So although this has got club root, which is what's affected that Kailan, cavolo nero is actually surprisingly resistant to it. We can grow cavolo nero in really quite infested beds, and it still seems to do pretty well, as opposed to some of the other things like Brussels sprouts. We have a really hard time with clubroot. You can get clubroot resistant variety now called Crispus, which is what we're going to try. In fact, I tried it a couple of years ago, but it didn't grow at all, but mainly because of slugs, not clubroot. So it's always a battle. So that is the 5 I'm going to put in here. Although the cavolo nero, obviously, like I say, is pretty resistant in general to the horrifying effects of clubroot, I am still going to put some lime in the bottom of the holes, which just deters the clubroot a bit. They don't like the change in pH, so let's do that. And that leaves me 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Perfect. I tell you what, something else I was actually planning to do while I was up here today, I wasn't actually going to film it, but on the back of the polytunnel, before we recovered it, we had a guttering running along the back because the roof is sloped, guttering running along the back that went straight into this water butt. Well, I've got my bit of guttering out. I cannot find the clips for love nor money. I've got my downpipe clips, which are the ones which go on there to get the pipe actually into the water butt. But the ones that go on the back that are supposed to look like this, you know, that the guttering sits in, blooming vanished. I remember taking them off, and I remember grouping them together and thinking, well, I'll put them somewhere safe. Because these ones I found in the netting shed, but these are actually the ones that we didn't use last time. I had excess, but I don't have enough. I've only got one of these, and I need at least 4 to go across the back because the guttering is in 2 pieces, so they need to be held up. But I suspect it's going to be one of those things that my only option really is to just go out and buy some more. They're not wildly expensive, but I do know that the moment that I buy a new set, the old set will show up. Anyway, this is off the to-do list today because I've hidden the brackets. The reverse of that, though, something that's unexpectedly come on to the to-do list, is to have a bit of a dig around under the Jerusalem artichoke. So this is our Jerusalem artichoke patch. They're really magnificent, fantastic, tall with yellow flowers on top, and you eat the tubers. Really, really tasty roasted. I wouldn't recommend the soup, which is a classic way that you eat them, because to me this flavour is just too strong. You have Jerusalem artichoke soup once and you never want to eat them again, in my experience. But roasted, absolutely delicious. And what's so weird about this is that no animal has ever gone after the Jerusalem artichoke before. Hence, we just grow them out in the open, like they're just, you know, in the grass, just kind of herded into a corner. Nobody's ever gone for them before, and now all of a sudden, it's not just ours either. 2 other plots on the other side that have got them. Also, some animal has decided they like Jerusalem artichokes, which is a real pest. Because up until now, like I say, they've been safe. But I'm pretty pleased with how much has actually come out of this hole. So they haven't got all of them. Pretty chuffed with that. That is going to be lunch. So, bit of a flying visit today, but main objective achieved. Sorry, there's a helicopter. I've been waiting for it to go to say something, but it doesn't appear to be going. It's just going around in circles, so I'm going to speak over it. Very happy with this. Main objective achieved. Got the cavolo nero in. That was good. Also picked up 2 sage cuttings in exchange for some of the winter savoury cuttings that I took. You know, when I chopped back the big winter savoury that we've got just as you come in the gate. So I swapped them with George. So yeah, quite a successful morning. Now we're going to go home, cook this, eat it for lunch. And we'll be back here tomorrow, a bit earlier than this actually, and I think it's supposed to be sunny again in the morning. So actually, to be fair, it's supposed to be sunny now, but it's not. It's grey. So who knows? Bag. What are you squeaking for, girlies? What are you squeakings? Oh, I need to put the drill in here, don't I? You missed it, Val. Morning. It's that time of year now where a lot of the jobs that I've got to do involve clearing. Clearing and raking and cutting stuff down, and that's the first job on here is the asparagus bed, which is our newer of the 2 asparagus beds. They're all ready to come down, so I'm just going to cut them down to the base, and I'm not sure whether I'm going to mulch them today because tomorrow morning the shop's back open again, so we'll pick up some more. I might be using that for another bed because we've only got 1 bag left, but tomorrow I will be mulching that at some point this week, so I've got to cut those down. The other bed, the older asparagus bed, has still got the nasturtiums going strong on there, and we're supposed to be getting a frost halfway through next week, so I'm just going to leave them until they get knocked out by the frost. Then I'll clear all of those away and then I'll chop and mulch that asparagus, so I'm just doing the 1 bed today. Second thing I want to get done this morning is putting some more of that cavolo nero in that I planted out yesterday. So I dotted them in the bed at the top end. What did we put in there? Like 5 yesterday. Got another space where I've got some covered, so I'm going to put another 3 in there. I left 6, but I've suddenly realised that 3 of them might be very useful for something else that I'm doing. So I'm going to pot them up and just baby them and try and get them to come good, and then put the other 3 in that bed where we've already got some netting. They're going to go in with the garlic kale actually, which we might pick some today. Yeah, so basically it's like clearing, moving, planting out. I've got a couple of beds which are ready just to be pretty much completely cleared, ready for winter mulching, and the other thing is leaf raking. Like the last week or so, the oak tree that is above me right now has just started dropping its leaves, so I'm going to keep that raked up. We've actually sown some grass seed. You know where we cleared from underneath the mulberry tree where it's all nice and open now? We sowed some grass seed down there about 3 weeks ago, and it's all come up really good, so I'm just going to rake the leaves away from that as well, because I don't want like the new grass to be covered in leaves, because it will really struggle to kind of establish itself, seems it's so young. Normally the grass is a bit all right with the leaves on it obviously, but when it's that young I'm going to clear that away. Plus I want the leaves for the leaf mould, so yeah, double whammy. Right, what am I doing first? I think it's going to be cut down the asparagus. What are you doing, girls? What are you doing, girlies? So yeah, this is the newer asparagus bed. I'm really impressed actually. We planted 10 crowns in here, 5 green, 5 purple. Every single one of them has taken, some slightly stronger than others, but to get full 10 out of 10 crowns is pretty impressive. I mean, 75–50% take rate is kind of normal, so I'm really chuffed with this. And they have been in here now for, I believe, gosh, it must be 5 years, 4 years. Can't even remember. Somebody out there will remember. Part of the reason that you cut the asparagus off for the winter is that obviously this pit is quite top heavy, so you want to wait until it's gone yellow because then it's got all the goodness back into the roots. But if you leave this on, what happens is obviously it rocks in the wind and then it loosens the root ball in the soil, which is what you really don't want to happen, because they like to be proper solid in the ground and not rock around at all, because that's where all of the energy is coming from next year. They're just basically like a big tarantula root system under the ground where it fires up the asparagus next year. And if it's been rocking around over winter, that can be really detrimental. But other than that, asparagus is so easy. I mean, the problem with it is that it takes so long to get going because you really want to establish those roots. Once you plant it, first couple of years or first 3 years, you can't really pick it. You just want it to grow up, strengthen the roots, and like, you know, rather than just every time it fires up a shoot, you nick it. But once you've got it established, it's brilliant, which is why it's like one of the, we've got more helicopters. What's going on at the moment? That's one of those big double ones, you know, with the two rotors. Right, now that's gone. Yeah, we seem to have loads of military activity around here at the moment. I don't know what's going on. Yeah, so one of the things is always like people ask about advice when they first get their allotment. It's like, well, if you're planning to be on that allotment for a decent amount of time, one of the first things I do, obviously you work out where you're going to put your shed, where your kettle's going to go, you get yourself a chair and you choose where your asparagus is going to go and get it in that first year, because the best time to have planted asparagus was like 3–4 years ago. So get it in first. Get it in first. Obviously, if you like asparagus. If you don't like asparagus, pretty pointless. Right, what am I going to do with these? Actually, talking of clearing, you know, I said that they'd cleared by they I mean like the council had cleared the plot just at the bottom of us down there, ready for someone new to take on. Well, you know, on this side we've had a problem for such a long time. It's just been like overgrown above head height and full of bindweed and all sorts of horrors. Well, they have cleared it. Ron has decided that he's given it up, and that means we're waiting for a new neighbour, which is very exciting. We're going to have one at the bottom and one on the side. Very exciting. I'm doing viewings actually all this coming week, so hopefully we'll have people on both sites ASAP. Right, what's next? Okay, these are the garlic kale. We're leaving those in, but these were the chimida wrapper, like the self-seeded stuff that we moved from up there. And we've actually eaten quite a lot of this, like we've had some good pickings off it. But now we're getting to right to the very end and it's sending up these flower shoots, but they've got like little brown tips on them. So I am gonna pick them and then discard the rest, and then I'll take them home and wash them and see if we can do something with them. It might be that they're just, you know, too far at the end of the season and going to be tough as old boots, but it's worth saving them to try. Some of these lower ones look like they're going to be all right, actually. Yeah, that one's gone. That's no good for my knees whatsoever doing that. I have got to learn not to kneel on the edge of the beds. It is no good for your knees whatsoever. And my knees are already shot to pieces, so best not do that then. That one's done. The top growth of these is essentially just turnip tops, and the girlies absolutely love them, which is quite rare actually, because everyone says just feed your chicken your scraps or whatever. We have got the fussiest girls on the planet, but this is one thing they do really like. Did we bring the basket with us today? No. Oh. So that size pot should keep them going until spring. They're not going to do a huge amount of growing from now until then, but I just want to kind of bolster them and get them 3 really good specimen cavolo nero by mid-June. If that's not a clue, I don't know what is. I'm not actually going to put these in the greenhouse. All of these have been grown outside up until now, and this little area here next to the shed is really sheltered. Next week, we are due like a real big frost. Well, for us, it's a big frost. It's going to get down to like -2. So I will put them in the greenhouse then, because they're really vulnerable in pots. Obviously, if they're in the ground, they'll be able to cope with it fine. But in pots, they're a bit more vulnerable. But for the moment, they'll be fine just here. Okay, let's have a bit of a update on the to-do list. We have cut down the asparagus. Oh, it's yellow. It's nice, two-tone. We have planted the cavolo nero and we've potted up the cavolo nero, and I've done a bit of rakage. And I've done bed 4. Can't do the gutter obviously because I can't find them. Mulching the asparagus I'm not going to do until we've bought more mulch. Well, we're looking pretty good. Something I am going to do while I've got the drill up here, obviously I can't do the gutter, but the borders where we put the dahlia bed in last year, we're going to have to do a lot of work in that bed because the dahlias were not the sizes as advertised. And by advertised, I don't necessarily mean on the packet. I mean, we got a couple off people on other plots here and they kind of gave us a rough estimate of the size when they were wildly out, because one of them is just an absolute bully and it needs to have a huge amount of space to itself. So we're going to dig all of them out and space them better up that row. Also now, because of next door being cleared, we don't have all that plastic there, so they should have a better start against the slugs. What was I saying? Yeah, but I have got the drill up here. Can't do my original task, but the little bits of kind of border that I stuck between the beds to make the edge of that dahlia bed, I never actually screwed them in. I just kind of plonked them in there and they've all fallen off. So I'm going to screw them in now so that they are fully attached, and then we can get that bed sorted over the coming months so that it's ready for spring next year. Where's the drill? In here. Woo! And some screws. Let's go. Obviously, it's not strictly necessary to have a border around everything, but I just prefer it. I like to have something that I can strim up against. Because we've got the grass paths, it just is a really nice division between the area that you keep clear and weeded and mulched, and you've got, you know, the intentional plants in there, and then just having the grass, you can just strim up against it, makes it neat and tidy. You may notice that these boards don't actually fit perfectly in here. I haven't cut them specific to the task, hence they've got the pegs on either side so that they wedge nicely between the 2 raised beds on either side of them. I'm actually reusing these boards from the French bean beds that I had along this edge of the plot. Not last summer, because I'd moved them by then, but the previous summer I made these little square beds that ran from the ends of the raised beds to the edge of the plot, and then I had the arches over to grow the French beans. That was very good in theory, but in practice it didn't work that well because they were really tricky to access. So for weeding and even planting the beans out themselves, really tricky, because the arches themselves were blocking access to the bed. So you had really good clear space underneath for picking the beans, but you couldn't get the weeding done. And yeah, it was really tricky. It was one of those things that looked fantastic on paper and in my head, but the actual practicality of it, it just didn't work. But we'll just chalk that one up to experience. that is quite a long and growing list. Oh, fantastic. Right, one more thing to cross off the list. Oh, I didn't do that very well, did I? There we go. Yeah, so it's just a case of picking up some more mulch, clearing a few more beds now, and things are coming along. I think we are actually thinking about packing up now though. It is lunching time. Don't put that in there, put that in there. Okay. Whew. Which one did you want me to move for these 2 bags? Just into that corner? Okay. Okay, yeah, let's put it there. Yeah. It does, I'm really excited. I don't think they give you much time after they close. No. Is it back at Kingston? There is something to know about it. Ready, steady, have you got the keys? Right, are we ready? See you later, girlies. Bye. Cheers, chaps. You can tell it's cold. It's red. Yes, what is going on with this weather? Seriously. We were supposed to have a couple of beautiful days this week, never materialised, so we're still under this blanket of cloud. I mean, it's been 3 weeks now and we've had like a glimmer of sunshine, maybe twice. It's kind of a bit depressing, chaps. It is. Having said that, it's not wildly cold and it's not raining, so, don't know. And what is interesting is that in the last couple of days, the leaves have just started to come down aplenty. Like there's been dribs and drabs and things have been changing colour and looking all very autumnal. In the last couple of days, it's just been like, whoosh, they're dropping. So yeah, we are well and truly in leaf mould territory now. We are. So it was a bit cavolo nero heavy this week, wasn't it? We did like 3 cavolo nero sections, but I think cavolo nero is probably, if I could only grow 1 kale or one brassica, that would be a bit serious. I love the brassicas. But okay, so 1 kale we'll go with. It would definitely be cavolo nero. I think it's the most versatile. It's the easiest to grow for me in terms of the club root situation that we've got. It's beautiful. I mean, what more? What more could you want than those 3 attributes for a vegetable? Yeah, but I love it. And it's Mum's favourite as well. She like at the beginning of the year, when we did our first 2 sowings of cavolo nero, all of them were eaten off by the slugs. And you could see she was trying to remain calm, but there was an edge of panic. There was a definite edge of panic to her. A year without cavolo nero would just be... Phew. Having said that, we're having a bit of a season with no chard. So the chard last year was really successful. And then it stayed in the beds over winter. So we had a huge burst of growth from it early this year. So up until about April, May time, we were eating tons and tons of chard. But since then, like I say, the blooming slugs, everything that I sowed the first 2 waves was just eaten off. And then when we did get them planted out, the foxes and the badgers and the rats and the squirrels and the blues was probably like Tyrannosaurus Rex came along as well, just to join the party, just kept ripping them out of the ground. So we've actually only got probably maybe 4 chard plants that have like properly established to the size that I would have expected them to be at this time of year, like considering when we planted them. So I am, you know, lacking chard, which is, you know, not a situation that I'm comfortable with. Not a situation I'm comfortable with. Which means that we'll probably be lacking chard in the spring. Depends really. So I've got a load of it planted up into the polytunnel. They're only small because it was that last wave of sowings that actually came through the slug and snail damage. They're really small. But if we have a good spring next year, you know, we should get something from them. So I'm not utterly despairing, but still. It's not an ideal situation, chaps. But that's been the case with so many things this year. Having said that, we've had some really good successes, and that Minutina that I was picking earlier, the stag's horn, yeah, it's got like loads of names. So it's Minutina, stag's horn plantain, and what's it, Herbostella, all the same plant. I am so impressed with it. It's growing brilliantly. It tastes fantastic. Last night we had just a piece of cod, and then I had big nice piece of focaccia with that wilted down with garlic and olives, like really finely chopped olives, garlic, bit of fennel seed, piled that all on top, and then put some really like light goat's cheese on it, and it was absolutely delicious. It's so versatile. We've been having it, you know how I always have things with pasta. Just it's like my bog standard lunch, garlic, chili, throw some greens in and have it with some pasta. And we've been having that so much. And it's funny because it's got loads of flavour when it's cooked. When it's raw, and it does, you know, you can use it as a salad vegetable as well, but it does taste a bit like grass when it's raw. So I'm not wild about it as a salad vegetable, but as a cooked vegetable, it's beautiful. And it's filled such a gap this year where other things haven't worked out. It's really come into its own. I'm very impressed. I'm not sponsored by Minutina, I promise. Not sponsored. But yeah, so the next couple of weeks, like I said, there's a lot of clearing and things that need doing. We've got a frost coming next week, so that will knock out, I'm assuming it's going to knock out the nasturtiums, the dahlias. We've got one courgette plant that's still desperately hanging on, and that will go too. So there'll be a whole load of clearing to do, and then like mulching, like I said, to just get it ready for spring. But something that I'm going to be putting a bit of time and effort into over the next couple of weeks is planning for next year. So you know how much I love an Excel spreadsheet, or Google Sheets as it is, because I won't pay for Microsoft Excel. Yeah, but I just really starting to work out what was a success, what wasn't. One of the things I say every year, I seem to like, it's an ebb and flow situation. I tend to reduce down my varieties to the things that I really know. And then the following year I go wild on varieties again. So I'm going to put some real thought into what we do and do not want to grow next year. It was a very difficult, I tried lots of new things this year, loads of new varieties and lots of things that I've never grown before, like the Minutina, like the, what was the one in the agretti? Got the agretti in the end, which was delicious. I absolutely loved the agretti. It was like salty and rubbery. It was very much like a land samphire. It was gorgeous. So that's going back on the list. But I tried loads and loads of new things this year, and because of the year itself, I don't think they got a fair whack at, you know, proving themselves to either be excellent or not. That goes for the tomatoes, it goes for the chilies, the peppers, all of that, the melons, the aubergines, although the white knight aubergine is definitely going to be sticking around, because that is not only delicious but prolific and managed to cope in this year. So that's basically, Sorry, I'm absolutely rambling because all these things keep cropping up in my head of things that I definitely want to grow next year. Hence the fact that I need to start writing them down, getting on the spreadsheet. There's just lots of excitement about what's going to be happening next year. I'm so hoping for a better spring. It's just take off a bit earlier next year would be good, because boy was it slow this year. I've also been thinking about when I'm going to sow things. I think I'm going to sow my tomatoes a lot earlier, and I'm going to sow my chilies later than I did. I'm not going to try Boxing Day onions. I say this now. You wait, it'll be Boxing Day and I'll be there with my packet of onion seed. But I'm not going to try Boxing Day onions this year because they did not work at all for me last year. Having said that, that could have just been the year, couldn't it? It could have just been the year. So I'm not sure. Basically, I'm not sure. I need to start writing lists and, you know, really get it in my head what we do and do not want to. I've really overdone it with the pak choi and the komatsuna this year, because that first bed that we really filled with kohlrabi, komatsuna and 2 types of pak choi, the green and the red. And then it kept being dug up. I was fretful that we wouldn't get any. So then I sowed a whole nother bed of it, which is the one that I weeded earlier this week. And then it turns out that the ones that got dug up repeatedly actually survived it. So now we have 2 full beds, and that's okay with the pak choi, because when you eat the pak choi, you just snip the whole thing off and you eat it and then it's done, dusted. But the komatsuna, which I've gone well overboard with, I must have 40 plants of komatsuna up there, and it's a pick and come again, and it grows really quick. So we are eating quite a lot of that at the moment. So I'm going to tone it down a little on that front. But one of those Asian greens that is going to stick around is the vivid pak choi, which is the one that I got from She Grows Veg, that, you know, they're selling seeds now. It is beautiful. In fact, I will show you it next week because it is a stunner. It is, so you know how pak choi's got very fat stems, or like wide stems, and then sort of a rounded leaf. Well, and then the green one's green and the red one's that like beautiful petrol purple. Well, this one has got a much more feathery leaf, skinnier stem, more like a komatsuna kind of stem, and then a feathery leaf, and the rib up the centre is bright pink. It's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous. So I'm going to be sticking that one in. I love the petrol purple one. That's called Red Choi. Absolute beauty. So we'll be getting them in really early in the year, and we'll be getting them in again later in the year because they don't like the main heat of the summer. And something that I'm really hoping for next year is a better courgette harvest. Because if you've been listening to Potty Mouth, you will have heard me whinge muchly on the fact that this year there was very few gluts. Beans we had more than enough. Like, we were just packaging them up and giving them to the pub, and everybody in the street was getting beans. There was a lot of beans going on. But other than that, like, what did we have a glut of? Absolutely nothing. Komatsuna and beans this year. That was it. No courgettes. Well, I say no courgettes, just not enough courgettes for you to get sick of them, which you should be. Like, by the end of the summer, you should not want to see another courgette in your life. And then it gives you a really nice period of time where you don't eat a courgette until like the following May, you know, June, July, that kind of time. And by then you're really excited about them again. That is the natural process of growing a courgette. And it just, I haven't been sick of them this year. I haven't been sick of them, which is sad. It's sad. Anyway, I'm completely rambling now, aren't I? Absolutely rambling. So I'm going to say cheers. I say cheers to my Patreons, as I do every week. They are the people whose name you see at the end, you know, the list of names. Also called the Monday Club. That is because they get their video on a Monday rather than a Tuesday. And without them and without their support, this would not be happening. So enormous thanks to them, as always. And cheers to everybody else. I hope you have a wonderful week. I hope you're getting a bit of sunshine, because we're not. Although when I've been looking at the map, like, the whole top part of the country has been pretty sunny. Like, from about 3/4 the way up, it seems to have been quite sunny up there. And this week they're due snow, so they've been getting all the good weather, because I love a bit of snow. But we very rarely get it down here, which is a bit of a shame. But fingers crossed for a white Christmas. And I will see you next week for a bit of plotting, a bit of planning, mulching. I have no idea what else is happening next week. I have no idea, so we will just find out. Cheers, chaps.